Okay, so since June is over, that means the second quarter of the year is over, which means I have come in with my second quarter stats. I read 31 books this quarter, which is significantly more than last quarter, which was 19. Mini books shared spot for the number one. I'm not going to pick out of them, but the highest rated at 4.5 stars were The Switch by Sandra Brown, Beyond That the Sea by Laura Spence Ash, Light on Snow by Anita Shreve, When the Summer Was Ours by Roxanne Beletzos, The Dinner List by Rebecca Searle, and I Survived the Wellington Avalanche 1910 by Lauren Tarshis. Which I knew I did a lot of 4.5 stars in the last quarter, so I knew it was going to be a decent amount. Because last quarter it was the same rating by a few, and then I think a couple shared the same for the lowest. My lowest rated book was 1 star. It was 0 Days by Ruth Ware. I ended up giving up on 2 books. 20 books were from my shelf. 11 were library books. 32 were new authors to me. Several books had 2 or 3 authors, so that's where 32 comes in. 4 authors I've already read. So I've read a pretty good plethora in terms of genres. 4 thrillers, 7 contemporary fiction, 8 historical fiction, 1 fantasy, 2 children's, 4 romances, 3 Christian lit, 1 sci-fi, 2 nonfiction, 3 memoirs, 1 crime, 3 magical realism, 1 historical, 1 summer, 1 young adult, and 1 LGBTQIA+. Again, these are overlapping ones. I honestly thought, in terms of the authors, I was going to have more that I'd already read, because I kept having certain ones in my mind. I was like, yeah, I've read a couple of this one, or one of this person's, but, I didn't think it would only be 4. My reading definitely picked up this quarter. I read the most in April and June. April, I read 11 books. May, I only read 8 books. Compared to April and June. In June, I read 12 books, which is the most in 1 month so far this year. It was interesting to look at some of my predictions, or I'm not going to say goals, but more like hopes, or whatever, because it wasn't that serious, or whatever, and I don't want it to sound like, oh, I really need to do this in my head or something. I don't want to not make reading fun, basically, because sometimes I end up doing this thing, or especially where it's like right now, where I have a lot of time on my hands, and I'll do this thing where I will tend to read 2 to 3 books plus a week. More like 3-ish. But if I'm going fast enough and I don't end up taking days and I force myself to read every day, which I haven't been doing, I take breaks here and there. Because, I didn't read on the 30th because I was like, yeah, I've been reading a lot. I need to just not for a minute. Or a minute was just a day. But sometimes it's just a good idea to just not and take a little breather and be a better reading mood afterwards. So my thing is that I end up doing is I will read a book in 2 or 3 days. Specifically if it's a bigger book, 350-ish plus or whatever pages. I'll make myself read a third, like within 3 days. So it'll be like, I will have read, depending on the length though. Like if it's shorter, I'll make it be 2 days. So I will force myself to read like 4 books a week or something and be miserable. Which I've really broken the habit of, because I'm like, that's just stupid. But like, I am trying to push myself to read sometimes over the summer, only because I don't know how big my workload will be come fall, because I'm going to be a junior in college, and I'm not sure how much that's going to impact reading. So I am trying to read a whole lot over the summer, because I really do want to hit the 75 book mark, or book goal, bookmark. It sounds like bookmark. And, it's like, I want to make it, like, I've been calculating how many books I would have to read a month, and I've got it down to where, if it came to it, as long as I read 5 books a month, I would, like, starting this month, I would make the goal. So, this is the first prediction. My prediction was I would be doing more contemporary and thriller than historical fiction for this quarter, which I was wrong. I actually ended up reading more historical fiction than contemporary or thriller, and I did compare my historical fiction reading to last quarter. It's actually the same exact amount. It was 8 books. I did read more thriller and contemporary than last quarter, because my contemporary was almost right there with historical with 7, and I read like 4 thrillers instead of 2, but it wasn't more than the historical fiction. That's what I thought it would be. But I did read more of, but not more than. Currently, I have 3 library books on my TBR and over 100 on my shelf. It's probably more like 115, 120. I wasn't gonna count. Another hope I had for this quarter was to read more on my shelf than I did from the library, because I think last quarter it was more library than mine. So for this one, I ended up doing that. Overall, I did read more on my shelf, because 2/3 of the book were from my shelf and 1/3 was from the library, which I think is better than half and half or more from the library. So I think I did good with that one. I still want to read from my shelf, but just go to the library as I wish, because I've found that I really, really, really enjoy the library. But I also still want to work on what I have too. So it's kind of like a cat did something. Hit my balance, like get a good balance going. As for the 75 books for the year, I am 2/3 of the way through with that. I have read 50 of the 75 books as of the end of June. So 5 more months, 5 divided by 5 would be 5. 25 divided by 5 would be 5. So there's 25 more books till the 75 book mark. Book point, whatever. So I think I can do it if I keep going pretty good this month and into next month, because I don't have to worry about school till almost the end of August, so but till then I want to read as much as I can, so it doesn't feel so daunting to get to 75. If I didn't hit 75, I guess it would be okay, but it would kind of suck because I'm at a good rate right now, and I really would like to say I read 75 books this year, or more. So we'll see what next quarter looks like.